Alabama is in the playoffs again.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. We'll talk about Gametime in just a little bit, and you're going to need Gametime because you're going to want to get you some Alabama-Oklahoma tickets. I want to thank you every day for joining us every day because you help make us the number one sports podcast network, meaning the Locked On Network, which we are a part of. Thank you guys so very much. Jimmy, a shocker of all shockers. I mean, wow. I'm going to tell you something. I like the way this bracket sets up for Alabama. I mean, first of all, playing Oklahoma is wild, but I love the precedent they're setting here. I do. I love that they're saying, yeah, you can go to a conference championship game and you're super beat up and you get skull drug. We're not going to really drop you much, especially if the other two people vying for a spot or Notre Dame and Miami, and they have a head-to-head and have their own set of issues. So I'm kind of down with it. And you know what? Part of me also says this is probably the right thing to do, meaning make Alabama play Oklahoma, because Oklahoma's been our bugaboo. They've been our thing. And they're like, hey, if you want to advance in the playoffs, go beat the team that you can't seem to beat.
Yeah, I'll talk about the Oklahoma matchup in a second. A couple of things surprised me. I said last night I didn't believe Alabama would be in. Not because I didn't think Alabama should be in. I thought Alabama 100% should be in over Miami and Notre Dame 100%. I just didn't have a lot of faith in the committee would see it that way. And you can see some decisions the committee made justify this. For instance, I think Georgia should have been 2 and not 3 because I think that being the SEC champion puts you there at 2. Not a huge thing, but just, again, I would have done that differently. I can't believe Alabama stayed at 9. I thought Alabama should be in, but should be in at 10. They obviously stayed at 9 because the committee's put Miami in and not Notre Dame. But regardless, Alabama being at 9 is a big surprise to me. And what the committee's going to have to answer for ultimately is, how did you have Notre Dame ahead of Miami in every single ranking until the last one? And they're going to say, well, they were finally side by side. They're going to say that. They were finally side by side, so we went with the head-to-head. That's a cop-out. They were no more than a couple spots apart. Yep. They were just a couple of spots apart. I think that's, and again, I would have put Notre Dame in ahead of Miami, though I don't think it's outrageous. And one thing I know, I have Notre Dame friends, and I know they're going to be mad. But one thing I would say that's not going to make them feel better, this is a fact. Alabama's strength of schedule was 6. Notre Dame's was 43. That's a massive difference. 6 to 43. Secondly, if you're Notre Dame, who did you beat? Yeah, I know the 2 losses were completely excusable and only by 4 points total. I get that. That's a good case you have. Now, who did you beat? USC. Okay. Decent win, but not a playoff team. Who's your second best win? Don't come to me with Navy. Don't come to me with Pitt. But that's all they can really come to you with. And that's just not good enough. Notre Dame needs to address their schedule. They need to address the fact that they have this contract with the ACC where they must play, I think, 6 ACC games a year. Maybe Notre Dame says, okay, we'll renew that deal, but we get to pick the ACC teams we're playing. Because you can't dump us with the bottom of the league because it hurts our playoff chances. And that's what happened to Notre Dame. Their contract with the ACC, I think, sort of led to this. But Notre Dame's schedule strength and the fact they have no second win to speak. Alabama's second win is over a playoff contender in Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt finished, I'm guessing, 13th or 14th, just out of the playoff. That's Alabama's second best win. Heck, Alabama's third best win's probably Tennessee or Missouri. And again, Notre Dame's second best win, Pitt or Navy. That's just not good enough.
By the way, that Pitt team, Miami destroyed that Pitt team. They did. I mean, I know Notre Dame did too, but I'm just saying it goes to show, and I don't want to pick nits over Miami Notre Dame. Frankly, I thought that was the whole debate to begin with. I thought you had to put Alabama in. Josh Pate said it best. You're not going to put the number one seed from the SEC that goes to the SEC championship game not in the playoffs. That's just and put 3 other or 4 other SEC teams in. That's not happening.
They shouldn't have, and they didn't, and
they
didn't
even
even punish. Didn't, and I think they set a strong precedent going forward. They set a pretty strong precedent going forward about if you're in prior to the final decision, if you're in, the conference championship game's not going to hurt you. That wasn't the case in the 4-team playoff, where there was instances of teams playing a conference championship game and falling out, being replaced by somebody. As a matter of fact, Alabama was a beneficiary of that in 2017 when Auburn lost in the SEC championship game, and Alabama jumped in and took their place despite losing head-to-head to Auburn. And what happened with Alabama? They won the whole thing. By the way, I think Notre Dame's out. Had they made the field, I think it's conceivable they would have won. They would have won the playoff. I mean, I think that they're possibly that good, and it just there just weren't enough spots for the good teams.
Let me say this: that 2017 thing, I've seen some Auburn people bring that up. That's it's such a fallacy, such a dumb argument. There were only 4 playoff teams, and after that game, Auburn had 3 losses. Everybody else either had none or 1. So, I mean, forget that. That's a dumb argument. If in the 12 team, Auburn would have clearly been in, no problem. And they'd probably be about where Alabama is now at number 9 or number 7.
Auburn wasn't in 2017. No difference as to why Duke wasn't in today.
Correct.
Duke was ACC champion. They had too many losses. Too many losses compared to the other contenders. That's why, and that's why Duke didn't get in over James Madison, who played 1 Power 4 team and lost by 2 scores. And
Let me
still didn't get in over them.
By the way, if you're out there, if you're listening, you're hate watching us and you think that we're rubbing your face in it. By the way, I do feel bad for Notre Dame, and I'll tell you why. Not because we got in, not because Miami got in, because what in the free flipping hell is James Madison and Tulane doing in this thing? What are they doing in this thing? They don't deserve it. We put them in because it's some make-a-wish thing that we do, and it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Get that out of here. Get the 12 best teams. If you just said we're going to have the 12 best teams, BYU, I hadn't seen the final rankings, but BYU's probably still in.
It would have been Notre Dame. It would have been Notre Dame and BYU per the rankings.
And everybody'd be cool with that. Everybody'd be cool with it.
Except Vanderbilt.
Okay, except Vandy and Texas. But let me say this about that.
Especially Vanderbilt, who I think should be in over, by the way, I think Vandy should be in over BYU. But they didn't.
They have no good wins, though.
Yeah, but strength of schedule. By the way, BYU's strength of schedule isn't as bad as a lot of people think. BYU's strength of schedule is actually fairly good, but not like SEC good. And again, Vanderbilt. If you just told me before the season that any SEC team would finish 10-2 with their only losses on the road to playoff contenders, I would have told you, of course they're in. Yeah. Notre Dame, Vanderbilt didn't even finish first out or second out. They finished, I think, third out.
I mean, look, I do feel bad for Notre Dame. I feel bad for Notre Dame the same way I feel bad for us last year. And the precedent was set. And here's the other thing. I think the committee did the right thing in the sense that, okay, now what you're saying also is you don't have to get rid of those big games anymore. Now, Texas may object, but see, Texas lost 37-5 to Georgia. 35-7 to Georgia, and they lost to a bad Florida team, and they lost to Ohio State. They did all this in the regular season. And Texas doesn't have any good wins outside of the Texas A&M, which, by the way, doesn't look as great anymore.
Right, A&M,
Vanderbilt's okay. Vanderbilt's okay.
A&M and Vanderbilt are good wins, but I think what hurt Texas as much as anything, in addition to the 3 losses, is they barely beat Kentucky and Mississippi State, who are just not great teams, and just barely beating them, needing overtime. For everybody hate watching, again, I feel terrible for Notre Dame. I think they deserve to be in. So does Vanderbilt. So does BYU. So does Tech. This was just a strange year where you had more teams that earned a spot than there were spots. And maybe you take a look at how you handle the group of 5 thing. It's crazy that you have 2 of them instead of 1. That's crazy. But again, it's a crazy result that the ACC champion is just unranked and has 5 losses. I would tell the ACC, maybe that league just needs to be better. The fact that Duke won your league is the sign that something is wrong. But hey, it didn't keep Miami out, and I think that was the best argument against Miami's inclusion is you finished third in a league that was won by Duke.
Yeah,
Maybe you
okay,
shouldn't
and
be
all
in.
that's fair. I agree with you. This is such a weird scenario. And by the way, let's let Jimmy and me also throw this out there. We said all this was going to happen when everybody told us, well, if you go to 12, nobody's going to have a complaint. There are more complaints than ever.
When you go to 16, we're having the same discussion. When you go to 16, you're having the same discussion. It's not about you can't keep this team. It's not about the 17th team doesn't have the right to play for the national championship. It's not about that.
No.
It's about in or out, in or out. That's what it's about. Whoever's 17, whoever's 18, they're going to be screaming. And I get it. We might be in that position one day, and we might feel like we've got a better. I mean, no. However many you expand it. I mean, like Nick Saban said, Nick himself, 68 teams in the NCAA basketball tournament, and then you immediately have a 2-hour show to talk about all the teams that got screwed and left out that should have been. So that's what's going to happen with college football once they go to 16. It's not going to solve that. I just think last year, Luke, it was hard finding the last team in. They had to put SMU in. I think they should have been out. Last year, they had a hard time filling out the whole bracket. This year, there were too many teams. And it's just, you can't change the whole system because of 1 year. You should only change the system if there's multiple years of the same problem. Last year, not enough good teams. This year, too many good teams. That doesn't mean it's always going to be like this. It's just the way the season played out. Next year will play out differently.
Going to tell you about Gametime. Oh, y'all know I love Gametime, and I'm going to be using Gametime here very shortly. But the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Gametime app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Gametime, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when the great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through the matchups and compare seat views. Pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event otherwise with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's all one word for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply because they apply to everything. Again, download the app, make an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Gametime. Jimmy Stein. Guarantee. All right. So, man, the shock of this is nuts. Not only that, because one of our other great sponsors, FanDuel, they put out lines for the games that supposedly were going to happen. They had Alabama plus 4.5 at Texas A&M, and they had Notre Dame minus 5.5 at Oklahoma. That's wild.
Yeah, so people were smart to look to FanDuel for the odds to get, but at the same time, FanDuel had it off too. They were off. They weren't. I mean, obviously, they had Notre Dame in and not Miami. That's why the games got all screwy, I think. But yeah, that's interesting. Interesting, no doubt. Let me ask you, would you have rather played at Oklahoma or at A&M? Which team would you rather play?
Okay, this is a good question. I'm going to say at Oklahoma. Here's why. I think Texas A&M is better. I'm not 100% on that. I think Texas A&M is better. I also think Oklahoma beat us because we fell into their trap. And I'm not sure we're going to fall into their trap again. And I also think it gives us time to get healthy, and Lord knows we need it. That's one thing I think the committee must have decided was Alabama was beat up badly. And so I think we get, maybe we can get Overton back. I don't know. I don't know what his situation is.
I don't believe that will be the case, but I'm anxious to hear.
Yeah,
but I don't believe. I'm not optimistic about.
We're a little privy to some info there, and I'm just saying, y'all just keep LT Overton in your prayers. So, but I do think Ty will be better. I do think Cam Dewberry will be better. I do think Cuevas will be ready. I think Jam Miller will be ready.
Yep.
Who else, Jimmy? Who else could possibly be
think
back?
just about everybody that missed will
Riley?
be back.
But I mean, not that that's like a huge swinging.
I think Riley might be back, but Daniel Hill was actually banged up. I mean, see, we're more
Danny
banged
Lewis.
up than people know. Daniel Lewis played last night. He's hurt. Daniel Hill played last night. He's hurt. Germ couldn't even play 7 days ago. You can't tell me he's 100%. Couldn't even play against Auburn. Parker Brailsford, does anybody think he's 100%? And people get the availability report confused with an injury report. You're not required to list every player that's hurt on the list. You're only required to list players who might not play in the game. But that doesn't mean that they're not playing but hurt. Parker Brailsford, playing but hurt. Dewberry, playing but hurt. Ty, playing but hurt. I mean, there's this long list of almost all offensive players. Every room is affected, by the way. The QB room, the running back room, the wide receiver room, the tight end room, and the offensive line room, all dealing with what I would call, based on what I know, significant injury or players playing hurt issues. I think it will be better at Norman. It won't be perfect. It won't be a healed up, healthy team, but it'll be better than last night. I'm very confident that that's true.
Yeah. And look, Oklahoma they are still having some issues offensively. They did against LSU in their final game. And apparently I'm trying to confirm this, Jimmy. And once you start talking about something else, I'm going to confirm it even more. Apparently Alabama is set to play on the 19th. So that'll be that first game, I believe.
That's kind of a bummer, and this is why. I mean, it's one less day of recovery for the team. I'd have rather played on the 20th. That's how close we are in terms of health wise. Well, I'd rather have the one extra day for real. I mean, I think it would matter. So, in my mind, that's a small bad break.
Yeah. I mean, okay, but you're talking about playing 7:30 at night or 11 o'clock the next morning. So, I mean, that's now. Let me turn it another way.
Have you seen all the kickoff times yet?
I'm looking them up. Alabama is the first game. It is the 19th. And Alabama is a 1.5 point favorite.
That is shocking. Now, is the Saturday night game Miami and Texas A&M?
I'm trying to find it. So here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to say.
What I'm saying is, I looked at the 4 matchups and thought to myself, if I'm a TV executive and get to pick this, I see 2 marquee games: Alabama, Oklahoma, Miami, Texas A&M. Those would have been my 2 night games because that's when you're going to get your biggest audience, the prime time games. And I would have put my 2 games involving group of 5 teams at 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock on the Saturday games, because less people are just going to watch those games anyway, so that's how I would have done it. So my guess, and I'm just guessing because I don't know, Luke's looking it up and I don't have it in front of me. My guess is Miami, Texas A&M will be Saturday night. So I think if we weren't playing Friday night, we'd probably be playing Saturday night. I would have preferred that, just in the sense that every hour counts with the team trying to get healthier here. Because I think we're not talking about guys in general that have, broken arms. We're talking about bumps, bruises, dings, things that will heal when given time. I don't think our team is going to file into UAB for surgery the day after the season's over. I just think a lot of them are going to continue in rehab training room type stuff. That's why I wanted the extra day, but it's not that big of a deal. Like you said, it's not that big of a deal.
My theory was confirmed. The kickoffs have been announced. Alabama is at 7. Let me make sure it's 7. It's 7 God's time, Central Time. So 7 o'clock God's time on Friday is the first one. I love that. There's going to be so much controversy about this game because Alabama's in it, and if we get our butts kicked, I'm not saying we will, but if we do, everybody, you never should have been in there. I get it. Okay. But that is the 7 o'clock game. But my theory is confirmed. The noon game, or for Eastern, 11 o'clock game for Central, is Texas A&M Miami.
Really? So that's 11 a.m.
Because that's the ABC game. The other 2 games are TNT and TBS, I guess. Let me know. TNT, True TV. Right. They get Tulane at Ole Miss. And the night game for reasons completely unknown to anyone but God himself, is James Madison at Oregon. That is brutal. But
I would have put Tulane Ole Miss at not just because, I mean, there is going to be some interest there. Tulane is better than James Madison, in my opinion, although Tulane and Ole Miss is a rematch. But it is interesting because Ole Miss's coaching staff is somewhat new, particularly at the top. Lane Kiffin will set a record for most times mentioned in a game he's not coaching in.
I don't know that he will. He's been a part of so many different things. I'm not sure he will.
Lane, I wouldn't be surprised they interviewed Lane during the game. I mean, and it will be.
He was going to be on game day yesterday, and it got mixed.
You know how many times Taylor Swift is mentioned in a Kansas City Chiefs game when she's there? It'll be that times 10 with Lane in that Ole Miss Tulane game.
No, I totally agree. We're going to talk about our bracket and the bracket overall here in a second. Let me tell y'all something. I love steaks. I've always loved steaks, and I will continue to love steaks. Omaha Steaks makes great steaks. The holidays come with two big goals: feeding people well and finding gifts they'll actually love. And when you want both handled in one move, Omaha Steaks is the way to go. From hosting to gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience right to your door. Because during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can stock up and save in a huge way. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com, and it gets even better. Locked On College listeners, look, you get an extra $35 off with code COLLEGE at checkout. That's all one word because there's only one word, college. Look, I've sent Omaha Steaks to my children. My dad, like 3 or 4 times a year, he's like, Luke, just look up, get a great deal from Omaha Steaks, send them on to the kids in Ohio. And that's what we do. And he just wants to take care of his grandchildren. And he does it with Omaha Steaks. Save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com, 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE, because it's only one word, college, at checkout. Terms apply. They always apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, code COLLEGE. Okay. So looking at this bracket we got here, it'll be Bama, Oklahoma, the 8-9. Again, I'm stunned. I mean, I set my face to stun. To kick off the college football playoff Friday, December 19th. I am very seriously leaning towards going. I've already got some other folks that are interested. I think I'm going to do it. So then, should Alabama win that game, they would then play in the Rose Bowl at 4 p.m. on Thursday, January 1. So here's what's great, Jimmy. So, yes, you get a little less time to get healed, like 12 fewer hours to get healed, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
But if you get through Oklahoma, you get that extra day that you would have played on Saturday. Plus, you don't play on Wednesday when Ohio State and the Miami Texas A&M winner would be playing. Finally, you play Indiana instead of Ohio State. Now, somebody will say, well, Luke, didn't you just watch Indiana beat Ohio State? I did. I'm telling you, I would rather play Indiana than Ohio State. That's me.
I would too. I'd rather play Indiana than Ohio State. And I know that while we're discussing this is because this is every time in an NCAA basketball tournament bracket, you discuss, okay, you win this game, then who do you play? You win that game, who do you play? So I get that. And we're not on the team, so we don't have to just focus on Oklahoma like they're going to tell the team to do. We can talk about what could happen after Oklahoma. I'm with you. What I would look forward to is all that rest time. All that rest time could benefit them well. The Ohio State team I saw play last night can be had by an Alabama that's healthy and playing great. Maybe that will happen. You're obviously going to have to beat Oklahoma. One bad thing about our Oklahoma matchup, there's only one thing, because obviously we're going to be talking about that for 12 days. What I don't like about Luke is just simply this. They're really good on defense. And right now, everything on offense for Alabama is a real struggle. Now, I do think Alabama's going to be healthier and be better. And let's remember, this same Alabama team, like about 3 weeks ago, accumulated over 400 yards against this Oklahoma defense. 400. Only 200 last night against Georgia. Oklahoma's defense is as good or better than even Georgia's. But again, you did have more success when you had a healthier football team. I took some heat, and I deserve this because I did say on this show about 2 or 3 weeks ago how great injury luck Alabama had. What I was referring to is the fact that Alabama's lost so few players for the year. Normally that seems that is Beeman, he's out for the year. That's just one name that comes to mind. Drake or Patrick suspended the rest of the year. But what I mean is you hadn't lost many guys for the year. But literally, and if y'all want to give me heat for this, I get it. Literally, the moment I said that, we started dropping like flies. Now, most of those injuries are minor, and they're able to play through it to some extent. But we're a very injured and beat-up football team. The day I said that about how I thought we were pretty healthy, had some good injury luck, it changed overnight. Maybe that's my fault.
Clearly, it is your fault. That's okay. I mean, you're not perfect. Now, I can't wait this week and the coming 2 weeks to get into this Oklahoma game. One thing I do want to point out to people, I've already gotten some tweets and some comments like, I'm ready to have us get pimp slapped by Oklahoma again. It's weird. We just saw another rematch from a team that went on the road and won, and then they play again, and the other team, they learn some lessons, and now I know it's not apples to oranges. I'm just saying, and the fact that it's probably going to be negative 200 degrees isn't lost on me. And I worry about that. I worry about Ty just in general. I worry about a lot of things. But we are in, and we're playing Oklahoma. I think this was best case scenario. In fact, it's such a good case scenario that I didn't dream up this scenario. Right? I mean, you and I both.
I agree. Playing Oklahoma, I prefer Oklahoma to A&M, just like I asked you earlier. It ended up better than I thought for sure. Heck, I wasn't sure we'd be in. I didn't trust this committee to vote in, to vote in, beer over water.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. It is crazy. This is wild, but it's a lot of fun. And here, all the hand wringing and BS is done. So now
it's just about Alabama versus Oklahoma. Let me remind y'all one thing about that Oklahoma game. We lost 23-21, right? Three plays. Ty Simpson's interception, in which Isaiah Horton was pass interfered with. But Ty's interception, the sack, strip fumble, play 2, Ryan's fumble on the punt return. Those 3 plays, take away any one of the 3, Alabama won the football game. Any one of the 3, Alabama won the football game. You just can't go up there and give it away again. That's what they did the first time. If they play the exact game they played before and eliminate just one of those 3 mistakes, they win the game. That's why I'm optimistic about Alabama's chances here. If you're the defense, you're Kane Womack, you got to start working on our defense right now, and the goal has to be pitch a shutout. Go up there and shut them out. I'm not saying it's realistic or it's even possible, but go up there and shut them out. Put a 0. And if you're the offense, get healthier and find a way to play without making errors. Last night, Alabama punted 7 times against Georgia. I don't believe Alabama even lost to Georgia last night because they punted. I think they lost because the possessions were too short, too many 3-and-outs, the Ty's interception, and special teams disasters. That game reminded me so much of Oklahoma in that way. Once again, Alabama's special teams were just bad against Georgia, and we didn't even get to see a Connor Talty kick. It was bad. The punting was bad. Blake Dowd's been pretty good most of the year. Bad night. You get the punt blocked. I know it was Kalen DeBoer explained it. Where we had the leak was LT Overton's spot, where LT has been all year long on punt block. We put in a new guy. He blew the assignment. Not an excuse, because that guy should have been better coached and not blown the assignment. But we can't have special teams disasters. It helped how ugly the score was last night. And again, I was ranting after the game. I was upset at DeBoer and the staff. I still am. It sort of hurt my confidence a little bit in the staff. But overall, I do want to say, overall, guys, great job. I said all year, Luke agreed, I think, and Luke may still agree, making the playoff is a successful season. I don't care what happened. I don't care what happened game 1 through game 12. Making the playoff in year 2 was a successful season, and they deserve congratulations for a successful season, regardless of what happens in Norman.
No, I'm 100% on board with that. And boy, the more I think about this Oklahoma thing, I think that this is the way, because while like on the surface, I'm looking at like, okay, that's a better matchup for us potentially. Also, it's not lost on me that last year Oklahoma kept us out of the playoffs, and it was a cold night, and we got hosed on a few things, but Oklahoma just it was the same kind of win for Oklahoma, by the way. They didn't dominate us offensively. We did enough. We could have won, but we just didn't. And then this last game, we outgained them. We doubled them up. We did a bunch of, but our special teams stunk. So special teams, Oklahoma's going to try and expose that again. We need to get off our butts, special teams wise. And
there's no doubt. And it's not about we need to return a punt for a touchdown.
No.
Or we need to make a 59-yard field goal, or we need to have a 45-yard punt average. It's about not making game-losing errors. Game-losing errors are the problems of special teams, not the lack of spectacular plays. I'm with you, Luke, there. And hey, turnovers. Jalen Milroe threw 3 interceptions last time we were in Norman. Heavily led to problems in the game. And then we turned it over 3 times in Tuscaloosa. You got to just stop turning over the ball. Now, Oklahoma forces turnovers because they're extremely good on defense.
They're fantastic.
This is an elite defense with an elite head coach who's actually the defensive coordinator. It's going to be a heck of a challenge for the offense. But right now, I'm just glad for this 12 days. We get roughly 12 days. Boy, these kids could use like 3 days off. No one needs to be mad that they don't practice today, Monday, and Tuesday. And if you practice Wednesday, I would do something light. They need that rest more than they need to work on some extra special game plan for a team they played just 3 or 4 weeks ago.
All right, that's going to do it for this extra special podcast of Alabama making the playoffs. We appreciate you guys for joining us every single time, and we will be back tomorrow. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide, like and subscribe.